Hello and welcome to Gondor Calls for Ale, a Middle-earth strategy battle games podcast. I am your host, Sam Gallagher, and with me, as always, again, is my brother Ben.
Hello, listeners and viewers. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, and thank goodness we got through that intro. We're almost at a point where I can start saying that we did it correctly. Stop saying that we did it correctly.
Yeah, it's definitely turning into a classic. Sam going, how do we do this again? Never done this before. It's my first time only, ever.
Yeah, only episode 88, which I'm not sure I said. This is, in fact, episode 88, Ben, which, in case you are unaware, is the speed you need to go back to the future.
Nice.
Little...
Well, Sam, back to the future indeed. Well, what are you drinking for this episode?
Yeah.
Do an old switcheroo. You can go first.
Oh my goodness, I don't know how to handle this, Ben. Well, for this, dare I say, extra special episode, I'm having a Wild Wog whiskey. Unleash the beast within. One howl, one pour, one more.
Oh, delicious. Very nice.
What about you, Ben? What are you drinking for this fine evening episode?
Well, Sam, for this episode, I have myself a Shadowfax cider. Show us the meaning of taste.
Very good. Excellent. Perfect. Well, with those delicious beverages being consumed and that section over, we will now move past the best section of Gondor Calls for Ale, which we've just done, into some other things. So, Ben, will you tell the listener, the viewer, perhaps, what we are discussing in this fine episode?
Well, we're going to start things off with a quick hobby highlight, a check-in from our community. We're going to see some cool painted minis, and then we are going to dive into our coverage of the Nova Open Grand Tournament. We're going to start it off with just our first two games each, when we're going to discuss our armies and those battles and some other good Lord of the Rings stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, sounds like a grand old episode to me. We just doing the first two because apparently last time we did 3 battles apiece in an episode. It took us about 2 hours to do, which is quite wild. So I think Ben,
we're saving that for the next one.
Yes, exactly. Excuse me, I do have a bit of a cough, unfortunately. So without any further ado, Ben, shall we get into the hobby highlight?
Yeah, here we go. We're going to kick it off with this, which is just awesome. Painted Smaug, the Great and Powerful, which was a giveaway at a charity tournament. Raised a bunch of money for a local charity, which is super, super cool. I don't think Smaug himself would appreciate charity unless it was charity for him. But that's okay. It's a super, super cool model. Just amazing.
Yeah, he looks absolutely awesome. What a great model. I do wonder what wash setting he goes into that washing machine at. Gentle tumble, perhaps.
Oh dear.
Yeah, really cool. Always cool to see a nicely painted Smaug. I don't know what
or
the
even
event was.
A Smaug. I don't think I've ever seen one.
Oh,
I've seen a box. Seen a Smaug box.
Seen a Smaug box or two in your time, but there could be anything in there, man.
Yeah, even a Smaug.
But yeah, I don't know what the tournament was. I think it's maybe, I guess by the time this is released, it will have happened, what the event where he is getting given away. But I'm a little jealous that I can't attend. But it is what it is, and it's super awesome to see posted in our Discord. And if you would like to have some of your models highlighted on our podcast, then you could consider joining. Well, if you want that, you have to. So you should join our Discord. There's a link in the description of this episode. We have a channel in there where we usually put a call out before we do a recording and say, hey, if there's anything you want to show off, be it an army list, some painted models, whatever it may be, throw it in here, and we will throw it up on the old podcast. So, Ben, moving on from the Desolator of the North. Oh.
We've got a father and son duo.
Yes.
Wrecker and Wolf.
Yeah.
This is the most recent installment from this painter. We've seen some Hill Tribesmen and General Targ already painted in the yellow, which yellow and black I really like. I think Wolf's horse looks great in sort of as a pale gray as well. Super cool.
Yeah, this looks awesome. I think that Fracker, is that a 3D print or a conversion? I think it's a 3D print, but hard to tell. Either way, they both look awesome. I'd love to see some hill tribes love or some besiegers. I guess they're all hill tribes is the general faction.
Usurpers.
So very cool, very cool, and I agree with you. The yellow is particularly nice.
Yeah, it's a good shade of yellow. I like it a lot. It really, really pops without being too vibrant. I don't like my Middle Earth to be too vibrant personally, just personal taste. All right, Sam. Some cool hobby stuff shown. Onwards into the tournament. Here is my army list. So Nova this year was 700 points, and I took atop the walls. There should be an S there. There's more than one wall, actually.
Yeah, 7 at least.
Yeah. All right, so led, of course, by Gandalf the White, we have mounted him on Shadowfax and given him Pippin to carry around, because every wizard needs a hobbit, as we know. In his warband, there are 6 warriors of Minas Tirith with shield, 11 warriors of Minas Tirith with shield and spear, and 1 warrior of Minas Tirith with a banner. Next, we've got Iralas, Captain of the Guard. He's got 3 Citadel Guard with longbow and 9 Citadel Guard with spears. And finally, we've got an Avenger Bolt Thrower with swift reload. 700 points, 36 models, and 7 might. After a little bit of deliberation, I decided not to put any knights in here. It's a slow army, and I'm okay with that. I like the theme of all the infantry.
So you're at max warband capacity is interesting, because bringing Avenger the Bolt Thrower certainly gives you some answers to big stuff, but I was just curious how many knights you could get in there if you didn't take the Bolt Thrower, but...
Yeah, it's more I can
Obviously,
like take the 11 warriors of Minas Tirith with shield and spear and make it 5, and then you have a bunch of tin cans with just shields running around, and you can like upgrade a couple of warriors to some knights. I think I could get like 2 in there without losing any models. But then you have this weird Gandalf warband with 11 warriors of Minas Tirith with shield and like 5 with spear or something. It's like an awkward. I felt that it was an awkward warband.
Yeah, fair. No, I think it's probably better to, trim down on some other stuff, drop the Bolt Thrower, put a captain, and fill his warband with some number of knights. It is a shame you don't have you can't do a mounted captain of Minas Tirith anymore, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I guess you have no march in this army, right? Iralas doesn't have it
I know.
anymore.
That's why I said it's slow. Yeah. It's slow, but I honestly, in my playtest, didn't find that was too much of an issue.
Fair. Cool. Well, I was excited for you to use this. I think I pushed you pushed you perhaps over the edge, suggested that I thought this would be very good and that you would enjoy it, win or lose. So hopefully I am not
I certainly do.
incorrect.
It's great fun to play. All right, Sam, enough about my army. Let's hear about Sam's army. More about Sam's army.
Yes, I see a very funny screenshot, very narrow here. So I after having no fun with Azog and the Troll Brute, I completely swapped what I was playing into Badur's Horde, Ben, which is of course an army led by Burdur, the Hill Troll Chieftain. In his warband there is 1 Angmar Orc Warrior with banner, 5 Angmar Orc Warriors with shield, 1 Hill Troll, 5 Angmar Orc Warriors with spear, 3, and by 3 I mean 1 Angmar Orc Warg Rider with shield, 2 Angmar Orc Warg Riders with spear and shield. In Warband 2 we have an Angmar Orc Captain. He's got 4 Orc Warriors with shield, 4 Orc Warriors with spear, 2 Warg Riders with throwing spear and shield, and 1 Hill Troll. Finally, in Warband 3, we have a Wild Warg Chieftain, 8 Wild Wargs, 2 Warg Riders with shield, and 1 Warg Rider with throwing spear. For exactly 700 points, 40 models, and 7 might as well.
Nice. I love to see it. Although, worth noting, I suppose, that the Wild Warg's might can only be used for wargs.
True, as far as
actions,
for sure. Yeah. Yeah, so kind of the idea with this, obviously Burdur can ambush. He's got a pretty big, beefy warband. And part of the reason that I took the Wild Warg Chieftain on paper is a very hitty model. But I put a bunch of 40mm bases in there. So for missions like if I happen to play Reconnoiter, I can attempt to clog the board with big bases, take up a lot of space, and while my ambushing orcs run off, they have to fight through a wall or two of warg riders.
Nice, nice, very cool. Burda's Horde's definitely got some play into just about everything, which makes it a pretty cool list, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's partially why I decided to go this way because, it's got the army's got three monsters, one of which is Burda, two of which are hill trolls. Monsters are great and a lot of fun, but if one of them dies, I still have two more to potentially do something. It's got, because of the ambush and the masters of terrain, it is pretty good in most scenarios. So even if you're getting wildly outclassed on troop, you have a good number of them, a lot of fast-moving models, and can suddenly Burda and a bunch of dudes can suddenly pop up in the middle of nowhere and kind of makes your opponent have to play in a weird way.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, Sam, let's dive right on into round one. We're going to kick it off with my game one, where I played against Cody, and we were playing lead from the front.
Ooh, a good scenario, a new scenario, a scenario that's number is
23.
23.
Sorry,
I know
my
about
score
you.
sheet behind my laptop there.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 23, so I will give us a dramatic read-through of scenario 23. If you are viewing, you of course can see the deployment map. Ben does have it correctly. If you are listening, I can either describe it to you or get you a box. Classic Gondor Calls for Ale joke here. We have a game that's got 12-inch up deployment zones, and you've got three objectives evenly spaced along the center line. A game that lasts until one turn until one of the armies is being reduced to 25% of its starting number. We have some scoring. You score 2 victory points for each objective marker that has both friendly and enemy hero models within 3 inches of it, but only if one of the friendly hero models is of a higher heroic tier than the enemy. You score 4 victory points for each objective marker that has a friendly hero model and no enemy heroes within 3. You score 1 victory point if the enemy army is broken at the end of the game. If the enemy army is broken and yours is not, instead you score 3. You score 1 victory point if the enemy general has been wounded. If the enemy general has been removed as a casualty, instead you score 3. You score 2 victory points if your opponent has no banners remaining at the end of the game. We also have a special rule, a time of heroes.
Cool. All right, so Cody had the Defenders of the Pelennor, led by Prince Imrahil. He also had Irolas leading some Citadel Guard, Beregond, and Pippin, which I thought was a super fun little army, really. And we were playing on the Easterling board that we played our final doubles games on. So I was somewhat familiar with this table, and essentially, you talked about with Burda's Horde forcing your opponent to play in a different way. The bolt thrower, once I've picked a deployment side, the bolt thrower goes down first before anything is deployed. And I don't know if you can really see it terribly well in this shot, but it's essentially, it's back a little bit from my battle lines. It's got to be 6 inches up. And it's basically holding down, covering 2 of the objectives. The third objective is in that big double house on the left-hand flank. So you can see deployment here. My warband, my whole army is faced off between the center objective and the right objective, and Cody's army is hiding from the bolt thrower, essentially behind that building. And we get into some sort of first turn movement where I basically push everybody forwards. Gandalf makes himself terrifying. Gandalf casts Blinding Light because Cody had 6 Citadel Guard with longbows. So Gandalf cast Blinding Light this turn to protect my Citadel Guard who were at the front and didn't want to be dying on 5s to incoming longbow fire. Cody pushed most of his guys off to that left-hand flank, his right-hand flank, off around that building, but he did have a couple of Citadel Guard come up to try and take some shots into the Blinding Light, and my bolt thrower opened up and killed 3 of them on turn 1. Nice. Which I think sort of really confirmed for him his battle plan of stay out of line of sight of the bolt thrower.
Fair enough.
So over the next 3 turns, over the next 3 turns, we get just this big maneuvering cluster where he goes round the building and I push up the bolt thrower. I basically pick the bolt thrower up and start hoofing it down the field because it's done its job. His whole army is now committed to going around this building, and I basically sent Gandalf's warband of tin cans just to clog the gap between this one terrain feature is essentially like two towers that are connected by a bridge, which very fortunately the terrain designer, that bridge was removable, so we were able to play on that terrain feature, which was so nice. You can see we've got it taken off for most of this game. Imrahil leads the charge into my shield wall of warriors of Minas Tirith on turn 4. Has to spend a point of might to win his fight against 2 guys, and I take 2 casualties this turn, but do manage to kill one as well. And basically, this game comes down to this big shoving match. The game does end on time. It comes down to this big shoving match. Here's another shot of the board. I guess I haven't moved the bolt thrower that much yet, but you can see that Gandalf's warband has clogged the gap between those 2 buildings, basically slowing down most of Cody's army. He's got 2 knights of Dol Amroth, which actually made me sweat because they were coming riding around this building, and I didn't want them to ride down my bolt thrower.
Sure.
And the bolt thrower siege veteran is a hero, so on his own he can actually score one of those objectives. So he's pretty important in this game. And Irolas's warband is holding the center objective from any sort of flanking maneuver coming around the other side of that building, which Cody did attempt. And then we obviously are going to have an Imrahil versus Gandalf fight off. That was the deal of this game. So at around turn 7 is when there's a lot of killing happening. We both take about 5 or 6 casualties. Gandalf and Imrahil are both in the scrum, both fighting, but can't quite get into each other because the confines are so tight between those 2 buildings that it's difficult to move cavalry bases around. But on turn 8, which ends up being the final turn of the game, we do get a strike off between Gandalf and Imrahil. Imrahil, of course, strikes up higher than Gandalf. I think this shot's just the turn before. You can see they've just got to cleave their way through a couple more guys. Cody was winning a lot of the priorities and the move-offs, so Gandalf didn't really get to do any too much magic. He spent a couple of turns transfixing Imrahil on the right end, but didn't really do a whole lot against him because basically all I had to do was die slowly in the gap here.
Right.
I honestly could have probably didn't even have to engage in the way that I did, but I came to roll dice. I came to play. Cody's a good friend. So yeah, and this game ends with a win to me, 8-7. So quite a close game. But a good fun game. I had fun playing it. The bolt thrower captured its back objective. Irolas held the center objective, and I don't think anyone actually scored, or maybe Cody ended up scoring the flank objective because I couldn't quite get Gandalf close enough. My sneaky goal was to have a hero of legend sitting next to the other objective and just shutting it down, but that didn't quite pan out for me. But I believe Cody broke me on the last turn, which was just enough to get him some victory points as well, which is why it was as close as it was.
Nice. Well, starting off not too badly with a minor win, which is a win, but also not shooting you into the stratosphere of the game here.
Yeah, and I took some pictures of Cody's army. He's a fantastic painter. If you want to check him out on Instagram, he's Psych Mini Painting. He did a display board. He played the game. He put fog and flashing lights in there. It's good for him for playing the game to please the crowd. Even though this year it turns out Games Workshop was judging the painting, so you didn't have to please the crowd. And I think he did a great job at this army.
I also don't think there was a display board category, but
no.
Cody is, as you say, a fantastic painter, and this army looked awesome.
Yeah, it really does. He nailed the non-metallic metal on this one. I think it looks good.
Yeah.
The purple on the Citadel Guard is cool. Just a bit different. All right, Sam. So that was my game 1. Give me with the deets. Hit me up. What about your game 1?
All right, Ben. Well, I was playing Joshua, and we were playing Fog of War.
Nice. Fog of War. If I was prepared, if I had done this podcasting thing before, I would have my book ready. What scenario number do you happen to know?
Well, Ben, I'm going to make it that much harder on you and say I have no idea. It's one of the first 6, I think, because it was one of the first 6 scenarios. While you hunt for that, I will say Joshua was playing the Reclamation of Osgiliath, so he had Boromir on horse with a banner, Faramir and Madril, he had a couple of knights, I think, a bunch of tin cans, and 11 rangers, so...
Nice. So here we go. Fog of War, Sam. You're right. Scenario number 6. We've got some sweet 12-inch deployment zones. So I have the wrong deployment map here. This looks like the deployment map for Domination.
It does.
Sam's game 2. So there we are.
nailing.
Wouldn't be an episode if I didn't get the deployment zones mixed up. So we've got a nice. I'll describe it to you. Sam can get you a box later. We've got some 12-inch deployment zones, no central objective. Ignore that. So victory points. This game will end on a 1 or a 2 after one force has been broken. At the start of the game, secretly note down one of your own heroes. This may not be your general, unless you only have one hero. You score 1 victory point if they're still alive at the end of the game. If they're alive and unwounded, instead you score 3 victory points. If they're alive, unwounded, and have spent no fate points, instead you score 5 victory points. At the start of the game, secretly note down one of your opponent's heroes. This may not be their general unless they only have one hero. You score 1 victory point for wounding that hero. 3 victory points if the hero has been removed as a casualty, and 5 victory points if you remove them as a casualty in combat. At the start of the game, secretly note down a single terrain piece wholly within your opponent's board half. You score 1 victory point at the end of the game if you have one or more models than your opponent in base contact with the terrain piece. If at the end of the game you have at least 2 models and twice as many as your opponent in base contact with it, instead you score 3 victory points. If your opponent has no models in base contact with your terrain piece, you instead score 5 victory points. 1 victory point for wounding the enemy general, 2 for killing them. 1 victory point if the enemy army is broken at the end of the game, 3 if they are broken and you are not. All right, Fog of War, a fantastic scenario, Sam. Tell me all about it. Oh, this board. I see you played correctly on this board where you ignored the left third of the table.
Yes.
When Chris and I played on this board, we played it incorrectly. I made him play on the hill, on the slopes, and it was terrible.
Yeah. So playing on one of Ben's least favorite boards, which is a fairly cool big frozen river down the middle, and then half of the board is slopes with a ruin thing over it. I was unsure about this game going in. I think this is a fairly tough. This is not a good board for me when he's got 11 archers. This is a fairly tough matchup. He has about 1 million more might than I do. Not quite. I guess he's got 12 and I've got 7, so he's got several heroes worth more might than I do.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't sure about whether I should ambush Burda or not. I decided to ambush him. Not sure if that's the right choice or not. And then just put the rest of the army down on the board. I think I was trying to protect my orc captain. Basically, I don't think it hugely mattered who I tried to protect. They're both fairly squishy and fairly easy to get to. And I was trying to kill Madril. Just because Faramir can share fate with Boromir, I can't choose Boromir, and he's a little bit harder to kill. So Mandrill it was, and I was trying to just take a rocky outcropping. You can just see it in the backboard on the right hand side. That's fairly easy for me to do, assuming I don't break and everyone doesn't run away. So we get into some priority turn 1. I win the roll, give it to him. Basically moves forwards. I then rush forwards with most of my army. I hide my orc captain behind a hill troll, put the wild warg chieftain behind some number of wargs, and with his 11 rangers, he gets a 1 kill. We move into turn 2. We can probably move forwards. I don't know how many pictures of this game I took. Turn 2, he won priority and gave it to me, and I was probably way more aggressive than I needed to be with my wargs. I just ran them forwards.
I see that.
And let Boromir get into a couple of knights into some more, which was dumb. I should have let him come to me. My thought was suddenly like, ooh, to take my terrain piece, I need to ambush Burda further back than I want him to be. And now I need to try and link my army up at some point in time to get my heroes so they don't just die to his heroes. So I was like, I can throw some wargs away and clog up these knights and be overly aggressive. Doesn't go overly well. Boromir calls a combat, of course, kills his 2 wargs, goes into 2 more, kills another 2. So I lose 6 models this turn. Yeah, you lose 6 models this turn and don't kill a single one. Excuse me. Oh, this is terrible. Talking a bunch while having a cough is not conducive to a good time. Turn 3, goes to me. My Wild Chieftain is now staring Boromir in the face because despite the
Yeah.
fact I put some Wild in his way, Boromir just killed those four without a problem. Like I said, I could have played this a lot better. Um, so I, of course, decide to call a move with the Wild Chieftain. I have a bunch, still 50% less of them, but I still have four Wild that can be affected by that move. So this is turn 3. So Boromir calls a move, and the move goes to him. Boromir charges into my Wild Chieftain. He basically wraps up some more combat. He does a really good job here of putting enough models on terrain pieces that Birder could have popped out of to basically restrict where I really could put him. So I ended up putting him on the terrain piece I'm trying to take, but it's the furthest one away from the battle lines. Ideally, I would have liked to put him on one of the closer ones and just run a couple orcs back, but given how big Birder's warband is, it actually, and I had to stay out of the control zones, it actually might have been kind of tricky, and rather than trying to figure it all out, I just said, I was just like, screw it, whatever. I should also note that on the left side of the board, my left side of the board that you can't see, he's running a single Warrior of Minas Tirith off to try and take a piece of terrain. We get into the combat phase. I'm going to pause my sounds for a second. Get into the combat phase. Boromir calls a strength to try and kill the Wild Chieftain. I think I forget here.
Boromir just burning through might like there's no tomorrow.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Still got 3 more, which is upsetting. I can't remember if I remember this or not. I think I forget. But the Wild Chieftain can't be knocked over by a cavalry charge because he's strength 6, and I think I totally forgot about that. Anyway, the Wild Chieftain gets killed, I think because Boromir spent the might for the strength, so probably the right choice there. Oh, right, because I think Faramir calls a combat as well, but doesn't get it off. He's just fighting a couple orcs. I lose 3 models. Unfortunately, one of them is the Wild Chieftain, and kill another 2.
Oh, nice. Getting some blood back. Nice, nice.
Yeah, not much, but we do what we can. Turn 4 goes to me. This is the beginning of Birder's slow march to the center. I've run some of my Warg Riders off to try and chase down that model. I think it's 3 of them, because I'm like, ooh, I'm probably going to get broken, and I really want to stop him from scoring his objective, like that, or his terrain piece. That's one of the only things I have.
Yeah. And they outfight you now, so gotta run him down.
Spoiler alert, that was not his terrain piece, and he successfully pulled 30-something points of Wargs out of the game because I was, like, desperate to chase him down. Like I said at the beginning, I did not play this very well.
Amazing. Nicely done. Well done, that man. I love a double bluff.
We get a move off with the captain and Faramir. The move goes to my opponent. Lines relock. We get some more combat. Boromir calls another combat. Kills. I only lose 2 models this turn. I think only from Boromir. And I kill 3 models. So we're evening it out a little bit. But probably too little too late here. Turn 5. So basically what ends up happening is Birder and his warband finally are getting close to doing something. I kill the couple models he's left on the backfield. I send these Warg Riders off chasing down his dude. I'm trying to get to Madril. I'm trying to do stuff with my hill troll. Eventually I think I get a decent hurl into Boromir, take him off his horse, which at this point was partially just the satisfaction of being like, no, I'm going to make you get that dismount out because there's not much else I can do here. So turn 5.
You could biff 5 fate rolls, Sam. Stranger things have happened.
Right. Turn 5 goes to me. We have a move off. The move off goes to me. I'm able to pass some fights. He uses for Gondor this turn. I lose another 3 models. Turn 6 goes to me. We have a move off. Birder is now like, he's right there. So this is several turns from now. I don't know if I have any more pictures. Birder's
there
like,
we go.
standing over Faramir, looking him down, and Madril's right there. So we get a move off, and the move off goes to Josh, and his characters all run away. Berta gets into combat, calls a combat, and I must have not done very well because I only marked down that I have 1 kill, but I lose 6 models. Boromir has also called a combat and spent a point of might to win, so I think Boromir is actually out of might at this point in time. Turn 7. But I think I get just a hill troll into Madril and cause a wound. He fails it. He has to spend a point of might to pass his fate. Turn 7 goes to Josh. We have another move off. The move goes to him. More stuff happens. I left 4 orcs on the back objective I was trying to take. I'm broken this turn. All but one of them run away. So that was super annoying. And I think that is enough to call to me this turn, and the game ends. And it ends up being a major loss, 2-19.
Well, I think Fog of War ends on break, not quarter, but
So
clearly,
then it must
the game. So you probably weren't quartered, but the game, roll that 1 or a 2.
I may have still
tough
been
start for Bird as well. It sounds like your opponent played really well, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think he won. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 move offs, and he won 4 of them. There's not a huge amount I can do. I think he did a good job with, like I said, I think he did a good job of guarding terrain so Berta couldn't pop out of it. There was a turn as well. I should have killed Madril. Like, I had a hill troll and an orc into him and lost the fight. With 4 dice on the hill troll and all of the stuff. And it just, as I've said a few times, I played badly. But then some of it is like, I should have had 5 points for that back terrain piece. But a bunch of orcs ran away, so.
Yeah, that's tough.
All right,
Sam, onwards into round 2. For my round 2, I was playing against Matt, who is a friend and patron of the show. Thanks again, Matt, for the game. Thanks again for the Patreonship. I got that right. And we were playing Breakthrough, Sam, scenario number 8.
Scenario number 8, Breakthrough. 24-inch up deployment zones, 4 objectives in the 4 pattern of a die. A game that lasts until one army has been reduced to 25% of its starting number. Score 1 victory point for each friendly model. Score 1 victory point if there are more friendly models than enemy models within 3 inches of the objective marker in your own deployment zone. For each objective marker on the center line of the board, score 1 victory point if there are more friendly than enemy models. If there's at least 1 friendly and no enemies, instead you score 3. 3 victory points if there are more friendly models than enemy models within 3 of the objective marker on your opponent's deployment zone. If there's at least 1 and no enemies, instead you score 5. 1 for wounding the enemy general, 2 for killing them, 1 for breaking, 2 for breaking without being broken, 2 victory points if the opponent has no banners, and 1 victory point if the model with the highest points cost in your opponent's army other than their general was wounded during the game. If the most expensive model was killed, instead you score 2 victory points.
All right, and Matt was playing the Pits of Dol Guldur, super cool list, led of course by Azog on the White Warg. He's also got the Keeper of the Dungeons and a Hunter Orc Captain, just Hunter Orc Captain on foot, and Thrain the Broken. And then he had, I want to say 3, or like 2 of the giant Mirkwood spiders and 2 of the hunting spiders, some number of spiders. I actually outnumbered him. I think he only had like 34 models, but still, super, super cool army. Not that many Hunter Orcs, a good block of Gundabad Orcs. And we were playing on the frozen broken ship board. It's this cool icy board with a big ship in the middle of it, which was like kind of just enough to make the bolt thrower interesting on this table. Like where do you put it? I plant it down right in the middle, but with its 45-degree arc of fire, it kind of can't cover the center between the 2 boat halves and catch either flank. So it's like putting it in the middle, or I could kind of cant it to catch a little bit of one flank. And so this is deployment. We've got the bolt thrower. You can't see it. It's 6 inches off the board edge. It's behind Irolas's warband. Irolas's warband is clustered around my back objective, and then Gandalf is off on the right flank next to the ship with a big chunk of his warband ready to push towards the center of the board, and about 6 warriors off on that right-hand flank. And Matt basically puts almost his entire army on my right-hand flank. Azog's back there. The Keeper of the Dungeons is back there. Thrain is back there. The Hunter Orc Captain and a handful of the mounted Hunter Orcs are off on the left-hand flank, hiding from the bolt thrower. And we'll get right into the action on turn 1. The Warg Riders move off around that left-hand flank. Matt takes priority on turn 1, I should say. Basically, Azog's warband and the Keeper of the Dungeons warband charge Gandalf's warband and sort of engage that front block of guys, wrap a couple of the spear sports, but they can't really get all the way around. And I moved back. I was like, oh dear, excessive pile of orcs inbound. This isn't where I want to be. This is not good. This is not where I want to be. So I did the runaway. I did the runaway thing. I abandoned my 4 warriors of Minas Tirith, repositioned, lined up, rotated the bolt thrower to shoot at the Hunter Orcs on that left-hand flank. And Gandalf cast terror on himself and caused terror. The bolt thrower opened up, got 6 shots this turn, and got killed 2 through some in the ways. He got 2 Warg Riders and killed 1 rider, but the Warg stayed around, so we got 2.5 kills with it this time. And on that flank with the Keeper of the Dungeons and the orcs over there, Azog is still sort of, I think he sort of hung out in the back a little bit. Because I had pushed Gandalf off to the side. He had Azog in the back, but not in the thick of things. Hadn't committed him yet. I'd only take 1 casualty on that flank. So that was good. That was good. I take turn 2 priority, and at this point, there's only 1 Hunter Orc left. There's that 1 Warg Rider and the Hunter Orc left on as far as speed goes. The spiders are still in the middle of the board. They could go anywhere, but I really just wanted those Hunter Orcs to go away so I didn't have to stress about them riding down my bolt thrower. So in my haste, I moved Gandalf first and shot him off, and you can see this is the top of turn 2. He goes off that way, and Matt spends a point before I move anyone. Obviously, Matt calls a heroic march with Azog, spending a point of the White Warg's might. So Gandalf goes zooming off, and I had a bunch of warriors who are going to push through the center of the board and start, breaking through, because essentially Matt has left me the center aisle of this board, and like I said earlier in the podcast, my army is slow. I don't have a heroic march, but I have found that you can still get where you need to be, but you just got to be proactive about moving early. So I was like, we're going to push forwards, but there's a spider there, and I don't want this spider to charge me. I just want to pin the spider down. I could actually trap it against the ship, surround it, and just pile guys into it. I moved Gandalf more than 12 inches away from the 6 warriors. He charged across the board. He's too far away from his friends, and failed 6 courage tests to charge that spider. So that spider was the bane. We tallied that spider's accomplishments over this game, and it gets bane of men or hatred men or men within 6 inches who get fearful. I don't know. That spider was a hero in and of himself. A spider hero. It was Atakob the spider. I don't know. Anyway, so I failed a bunch of courage. At some point, I should have just been screw it, I'm not charging the spider, and pushed my guys forwards. But anyway, I had a big blob of 6 guys who were just sitting there. The rest of them pushed towards Gandalf. They trap another Hunter Orc Warg Rider, trap a couple of Hunter Orcs back there. And the rest of the warband, I think I just fell back away from the Keeper of the Dungeons for 1 more turn, just to get a couple. Yeah, that's right. I pulled back for 1 more turn, just to get a few more shots in with the bolt thrower. The bolt thrower about faces to face the Keeper of the Dungeons. And my 3 Citadel Guard with longbows line up some cheeky shots. Matt pushes forwards with the Keeper of the Dungeons and 1 of the spiders and all of the Gundabad orcs over there. They move first, then Azog's heroic march goes off, and Azog and 2 of the giant Mirkwood spiders go zooming off towards the center of the board. In the shooting phase, I line up the bolt thrower. It gets 5 shots. The bolt thrower is able to shoot 2 orcs out of the way, so that now there are no orcs between the Keeper of the Dungeons and my Citadel Guard with longbows, who open up on the Keeper of the Dungeons and inflict a wound on him, which is worth a victory point for me, because the Keeper of the Dungeons is Matt's most expensive model other than Azog. So that was quite pleased with how that panned out. Gandalf, of course, manages to kill the remaining Hunter Orc on that flank over there. Actually, I think Pippin... Yeah, no, Gandalf biffed it. I had to spend a point of Pippin's might for Gandalf to win that fight, but we did win the fight over there. On turn 3, Matt calls surprise, which I, should have sort of seen it coming, didn't see it coming, and essentially what happens is you can see his Gandalf fighting off against the last Hunter Orc, and Azog is in the background,
Yeah.
ready to strike. So Azog and the giant spider go into one of my warriors of Minas Tirith. The final Hunter Orc War Rider manages to pass his courage test and charge into terrifying Gandalf. And Azog in the combat phase calls a heroic combat. I called a defense with Gandalf. Looking back at it, this was the moment I should have called a strike. I got this backwards in this game. Gandalf should have struck here. It feels bad to get bowled by Azog. I was like, just come on in. But I'm lower fight than him. Calling the defense is just inviting him to come in and attack Pippin and Shadowfax, which is exactly what Matt did. So, and just want to point out how cool of a play this was. On turn 2, Azog is about 3, maybe 6 inches away from my right-hand board edge. He calls a heroic march, moves 15 inches. Calls surprise, charges 10 inches into an orc. Heroic combats charges another 10 inches into Gandalf. So in like 2 turns, Azog has gone from one side of the board to the other side of the board and is now fighting Gandalf. It was wild. He moved 35 inches or something crazy. It was super cool. Super cool maneuver. So Gandalf calls a defense. I got pretty lucky here and only took one, managed to stay on Shadowfax, only had to spend 1 point of fate. Elsewhere, though, we sprung our trap on the Keeper of the Dungeons. It was time to stop running from the Keeper of the Dungeons. We turned around, surrounded his warband, and on that flank, I won every single fight except where the Keeper of the Dungeons was fighting. So the Keeper of the Dungeons calls a heroic combat. No, I'm sorry, not this turn. The Keeper of the Dungeons gets 2 kills this turn. Azog gets 1 kill this turn, so I took 3 casualties. I won every single other combat against the Keeper of the Dungeons warband and killed 9 orcs this turn.
Yikes.
The +1 to wound from the Citadel Guard going into the orcs. I had a lot of them trapped, a lot of them surrounded because they sort of pushed into me, and then I got to respond after the surprise. And sure, we're tied fight with the Gundabad. I just won every single good evil roll off, and I just marked it down. I made a note of it in my my notes. Every single fight, I got a kill. I won every single fight and got a kill in every single fight. Took 9 orcs on the board, which was huge. Turn 4 goes to Matt, and we get a move off. We get 2 move offs. We get a move off between Iralas and the Keeper of the Dungeons. Oh no, we don't. That's right. There was this whole big back and forth thing. So I called 2 moves. I called one with Gandalf and one with Iralas, and Matt calls one with Azog, because basically, if he calls one with the Keeper of the Dungeons, he needs to go first with Azog to get into Gandalf, right? Otherwise, Gandalf's just going to ride 12 inches and run away. So he decides not to move first with the Keeper of the Dungeons, and I was basically like, look, I'm going to pull a point of Azog's might with Gandalf because I have to, and if I win this move off, I will move first with Gandalf. But what I really want to do is be like, okay, Gandalf's dead, but I'm going to capitalize on the 9 kills I just got and just completely swarm the Keeper of the Dungeons warband. So the move off goes to Azog. Azog moves first, goes into Gandalf. Somewhat unsurprising. This is the turn I should have called the heroic defense. This is the turn I struck. I did that backwards. I did a struck last turn and then defense this turn. Whatever. Did it wrong. It's okay. And then Iralas goes next, and we sort of surround the Keeper of the Dungeons warband. This is like, I think probably this turn where I called the move. So there had been a bunch of orcs over there. Now there are no orcs left. It was just wild. They just evaporated. That +1 to wound, very strong, very strong. So in the combat phase, as mentioned, we get a strike off between Azog and Gandalf. They both get +3 to the fight, so Azog's going first and manages to pull all of Gandalf's fate off this turn and put 2 wounds onto him. So not quite dead. He just threw all of his dice into Gandalf. Didn't worry about Shadowfax. Didn't worry about Pippin. So Gandalf is now out of fate and on 1 wound. We get another 4 kills with Iralas's warband and take another 2 casualties. I think the Keeper of the Dungeon's just doing his job, killing some stuff. Importantly, I had managed to get into combat with the Hunter Orc Captain in the back of the board. My breakthrough force is breaking through. They're just defending. They're like the only defenders back there at this point. Like the Hunter Orc Captain, handful of Hunter Orcs, maybe like 1 or 2 Hunter Orcs, and the Spider. The Spider that I just could not pass courage test to charge.
Sure.
Hunter Orc Captain biffs his fight and has to spend both points of might to win it. I think I got the 6. He rolled a 4 or whatever. So now the Hunter Orc Captain is out of might, which is awesome because I've got no might back there to call moves as far as like breaking through goes. Next turn priority goes to me. Azog calls another move. Gandalf is at this point out of might. Gandalf gets slain this turn, but fear not. Pippin, guard of the citadel, is here to cause problems because Azog, despite the fact that Gandalf was trapped by the giant spider and the hunter orc, Matt just kept failing those courage tests. Those guys couldn't. It was just Gandalf and Azog.
Sure.
So anyway, Pippin survived for another turn, took a wound, but survived to tell the tale, to thwart Azog. And elsewhere on the board, I'm pushing through, I'm breaking through. My warriors are getting to the back there. We get another couple of kills this turn, and I'm actually able to quarter Matt before he can get Azog back to protect his back objective. He does manage to kill Pippin at the end of the game, who's standing on the left flank objective. I take the right flank objective and win this one 12-5. Here's my breakthrough force. There's the spider that I just couldn't kill. But you can see that I've just got way more guys. And in fact, because I won the last turn priority and his Hunter Orc captain had no might, I think only one of his guys are actually within range of the objective. You can't see it, but I basically walled him off from his own back objective.
Nice.
The Keeper of the Dungeons, spear thrust stalled. I managed to, because I won the move off over there, I was able to trap and kill the spider. So I took the back objective, the other flank objective, and obviously the Avenger Bolt Thrower was holding my back objective as well. And on the last turn of the game, I was able to kill his banner, so I had a banner and he didn't. Super fun game. It's really nice play on having Azog track Gandalf down. It felt a little bit like that Harry Potter, Islander win, but Victor Crumb will get the snitch. Like I lost Gandalf, but still won the game, by a major victory.
Nice.
So the Warriors of Gondor shining through, and again, I said it a couple of times already. That +1 to wound from the Citadel Guard within range of Eralas was super, super nice.
Yeah. Nice. Very cool.
All right, Sam, tell me all about your game 2, where I have obviously got the deployment map wrong. This is the deployment map for Fog of War.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, Ben, in my game 2, I was playing Craig, not any old Craig the Legend, as I believe he was in Best Coast pairing. Awesome. And we were playing Domination. Do you want to give us a quick read-through of Domination? Right. I believe that is scenario 1.
Yes, so Domination scenario number 1. We have in fact a 24-inch deployment zone with one central objective. The players are both going to roll a d6 and take it in turns to place the remaining 4 objectives. The objectives must be at least 12 inches away from another objective and 6 inches away from a board edge. This game ends when one force has been reduced to 25% of its starting number. You score 1 victory point for each objective marker that you have more models within 3 inches of. If you have at least twice as many models than your opponent, you instead score 2 victory points. If you are the only player to have models within 3 inches of an objective, instead you score 3 victory points. 1 victory point for wounding the enemy general, 2 for killing them, 1 victory point for breaking the enemy army, 3 for breaking them without being broken. Nice, simple scenario, Sam. Seems pretty strong for Birdo's Horde, getting to place objectives, possibly in strategic terrain features.
Yeah. So, Craig was playing, to make this game slightly more interesting, or not straightforward, was playing the Champions of Erebor. So his army was led by Thorin. He had Feely, Keely, Biffa, Bofa, Glowin, Nori, Ori, and Dory.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, and they're all like...
How many dwarves? I lost count. How many is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of the 13.
9. So on a scale of 1 to 13 unexpected dwarves, would you give this a 9?
Exactly, yes. So, I decided this game to not ambush with Birda after putting the objectives down. We were playing in sort of a Dwarven Hold kind of board with basically one big defining terrain feature, which was a gatehouse in the center. And Birda's going to be the thing that's going to kill these dwarves consistently, right? Birda and Hill Trolls, they're going to be what I really want to kill the dwarves with. So makes sense to have him out on the board rather than waiting for... Because with 3 turns, if he just bum rushes one of my warbands or my whole army, those dwarves can just mince through my entire army, and then basically I didn't want to let him kill me piecemeal.
No, makes sense.
So I just deployed on the center line. His whole army deploys as individual warbands, apparently. Which was very funny. That's wild. He was sort of scattered across the board. You can see in this picture, Feely and Keely are by themselves and then guarding an objective. The rest of the army, I think, is basically deployed on the other side of that gatehouse. I put my entire army down and just across the board. I have a very big an army that takes up a lot of space. Turn one, he wins priority and decides to give it to me. I don't call any heroic actions. He calls a march with Feely. I spread out. I send my Wild Wog Chieftain and a bunch of Wog Riders off to the left-hand flank to where most of his army is. I have learnt my lesson from the previous game and leave a big chunk of like 6 orcs by one of the objectives and start pushing forwards with some other orcs. I decide not to move Burda or the hill trolls because I'm going to throw some rocks at Feely and Keely because I might as well. So we get into the shooting phase, and I think
What do you throw stones on? The
4s.
trolls?
It's gross.
That's solid.
It's actually very good, yeah. So I have my first hill troll picks up a stone. He's got a couple in the ways for about 2 orcs. He rolls the hit, he hits, he goes through both in the ways, no problem. And on a 4, he wounds Feely. Feely, I think, just takes the wound. Or maybe he...
Is it strength 10 from the throw stones from the hill trolls as well?
8. Ents stupidly strength 10. The regular throw stones on every other monster's an 8. So, needs 4s.
Still strong.
So then the other hill troll picks up a stone, does the exact same thing, hits, goes through any ways, wounds. Feely then decides to spend his point of fate, rolls a 1. He spends Keely's point of fate, rolls a 1, and dies. Wow. I have, with 2 rocks, I have killed a dwarf. And then Burda picks up a stone and decides to chuck it at Keely, and does a wound to Keely. So, 3 stones, 3 wounds, pretty gross. Turn 2.
Yeah, jeez.
Turn 2
they're just 2 might heroes then, huh?
Yeah, 2 might heroes, yeah.
And they can't spend each other's might, just fate?
I believe it is just fate, and they're both 3 might, but Feely had spent a point of might for the march, and they only have 1 fate apiece.
That's catastrophically unlucky.
Yeah,
nice. Trolls throw stones. I love it. Yeah. I'm not the only one with the fate curse. It's good.
No, yeah, exactly. So turn 2 goes to Craig. He decides to keep it. I call a move with the chieftain. Keely calls a march. I don't think there's a move off. I decide. I can't remember if I do. I do this turn. So I move with the chieftain and just encircle his army. Or his little warman that's over there. On the other side of the board, I charge.
I mean, that looks like what's left of his army, because you said there are 9 of them and there are 7 dwarves over there. So.
Yeah. The other side of the board, I charge Keely with a Warg Rider with throwing spear and kill him with the throwing spear. It's just absolutely absurd. At that point, I believe Craig makes a comment about somebody telling him you don't have to worry about shooting in this game, and I was like, well, you definitely shouldn't normally, but that's kind of brutal.
Yeah, what is just the throwing? Are they defense 8 as well? So the throwing speed needs 65 4s.
Yeah.
Ruthless.
They're at least 8. They may even be 9. I think they're just 8s, but still.
I mean, 9 and 8 for strength 3 is the same. I think it's 65 4s either way.
We do get some combats here. I spend a point of the Wild Wog Chieftain's might to win a fight.
Looks like you're fighting Dory, the one with the white hair.
I can't remember which was which, because these are also actually they're not the Champions of Erebor models, they're the regular Thorin's Company models. I lose 5 Wogs this turn. And just kill Keely. Still fine. There's sort of really not much to say about this game outside of the hilarity of my throwing spears, or my throwing rocks and throwing spears, which, Ben, is the perfect time to say, if you would like to kill Champions of Erebor very easily with throwing rocks, then look no further than the Baron of Dice, the official sponsor of Gondor Calls for Ale. These are beautifully hand-swirled resin dice with no microbubbles and are guaranteed to roll 6s at least some of the time. If you want some thematic dice to go with whatever Middle-earth strategy battle game army you are currently playing, then I recommend you check out the link in the description of this episode. You can get some beautiful dice. You can even use our promo code capital G, capital C, capital A to get a nice little discount on that. Now back into the action, Ben, where we're just going to speed go through the rest of this game, because basically not much really happens. As you can imagine, it's just like he kills orcs, he kills wargs. Eventually, Burder and the hill trolls go around.
The Wild Chieftain gets chopped down by Thorin and co.
Yeah, he gets killed the following turn. On turn 3, he gets killed because he fails his fate. Eventually, Burder and the hill trolls get around that big doorway, and once they're in a good number, I killed 2 of the Fight 6 dwarves already, which are Feely and Keely, so it's basically like Thorin and Glowin I had to worry about. Mm-hmm. Burder and the hill trolls start wading in, rending dwarves or just trapping and striking them. I think on turn 5, I killed Biffer and Bofa. It's sort of various turns. These all hero armies are very hard to take notes for.
Sure,
it's just massive amounts of resources being spent and just models being removed. Burder spends cause of combat, I think, on that turn to kill both of them. Has to spend the point of might to win. We get a strike off at some point of time. So I slowly grind through and kill these dwarves. They do a decent job of withstanding my army. I now have big clumps of orcs on the 2 objectives that there's basically nothing else happening. I think I have about 12 orcs on 2 objectives on the right-hand side of the board. I have a couple Warg Riders on 1 objective. The center objective, there's a little bit of a semi-fight for. I put a wall of like 3 orcs between them, between the dwarves and the rest of my army. And eventually kill enough to quarter him. This is a rough game, right? This is 40 models versus 9 in an objective scenario. It goes the way you would expect.
Especially after splitting up the army to begin with. I think that was not a strong call.
Yeah. I mean, he marched towards, he was trying to get them together. I just killed them before they got there. Sure. It ended up being a major victory.
I feel like it's an army that just wants to deploy. You might as well deploy it as a single warband in a big clump, and then once you've cleaved through 20 orcs, then you can be like, okay, now we spread out.
Yeah, no, sure. I think he may have been new or was new to the army. Like I said.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, though, it's a tough matchup. 40 models versus 9 in an objective scenario.
And a lot of them don't have strike and or are fight 5, so my hill trolls, they're all infantry. My hill trolls essentially have 4 attacks to win the fight, looking for the 6. I have a banner, so it can be 5 attacks. I can rend them, because I don't think any of them have mithril armor. So I go from looking for at least 6s down to needing 4s or 3s, I think. I guess it's probably 3s.
Yeah.
So, tough at best. If, at best he can hold maybe 2 objectives. Unless he really wants to spread out. So 15-1, major victory. Craig was a really nice guy. I got incredibly lucky with killing those 2, with killing the brothers super early with a throwing spear and 3 rocks. That's absurd, insane, all of the above. But
4 shots, 4 wounds on D9, D8 heroes.
Yeah. Pretty gross.
I mean, sure, 3 of them are thrown stones, but even so.
Yeah. I major victory. Feeling good going into round, or feeling kind of like, can I have a game that's not super one-sided in round 3?
Yeah, right. You've lost hard and won hard so far.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Well, I think, dear listener and viewer, we are going to leave it. In fact, I know we're going to leave it there for today. We'll be back in 2 short weeks with another 3 battle reports from Nova, as well as any thoughts, feelings about the placings and stuff like that.
Thank you for listening to Gondor Calls for Ale. We hope you have enjoyed this episode. We at Gondor Calls for Ale are officially sponsored by the Baron of Dice, the producer of premium wargaming dice. These beautifully hand-swirled resin dice have no micro bubbles and are therefore perfectly balanced. With over 3,000 variants and unique designs, nearly every tabletop gaming system is represented. So check out the description of this episode for a link and a discount code. Go buy yourself some new dice and let the good times roll. We at Gondor Calls for Ale are not associated with Games Workshop, New Line Cinema, or the Tolkien Estate. We hope we have not misrepresented or offended anyone. These recordings are strictly recollections of games we've played and are not commentaries on the character or competence of our opponents. They are intended purely for entertainment, and we hope they will be taken as such. You can find us on Patreon, see the link in the description. Supporting Gondor Calls for Ale there helps us continue to produce these episodes. You can find us on Instagram at Gondor_calls_for_ale. Feel free to send us a message there. Or on Facebook as Gondor Calls for Ale, another great place to send us a message. Or you can send us an email at gondorcallsforale@gmail.com. As Boromir, Captain of the White Tower, once said, remember today, listener, today this episode was good.